Hey everybody, we're back with another movie review, with the first movie review of the year 2023. Now I wanted to watch a movie on a good note for the start of the brand new year, and I rewatched the Disney classic because I think Pocahontas was the first original. I won't say original. First Disney Renaissance movie that I did for the channel, which you can watch my thoughts on that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl, which, by the way, don't forget to leave a like and comment on this video and others like this up on the channel. Your support is most, can't speak, it's very appreciated. And Aladdin, the classic Aladdin from the 90s, as well as Hercules, probably my all-time favorite. I think like 101 Dalmatians is probably like a good runner-up. It's probably my favorite Disney films, especially when it comes to Renaissance films that I grew up watching and reading stories, probably more often than any of the other stories, throughout the nights. Oh, and then Mulan, obviously, is probably a good one on the list. My favorite. Uh, uh, and of course, when it comes to live action, I haven't watched the live action. Some people like it fine. I didn't waste my time. I don't want my view on one of my beloved Disney films to be tainted by one of those crappy, standardized, supposed remakes. Because I hate that. It seems like they're just using the word remake, and it's not really a remake. I think Cruella's and Maleficent is probably like the only two that you can actually qualify as a remake, because they're telling a different story. It isn't like a paint by numbers one-to-one story. Why would I want to go see the live action Aladdin with Smurf Will Smith, where I can just watch the original that's been done better and still is good? And I forgot how good the art in this is. I forgot how good art in this. It's freaking phenomenal. Uh, uh, and the same thing with like watch the live action Lion King when you can just watch the original. I watch the live action Jungle Book when you can watch the original. This is how I feel. When I have kids, I'm not gonna have them watch this live action stuff where I can just show them the original stuff. I'm pretty sure they'll have a much more appreciative time with great story compared to this Disney churned out crap that they try to spoon speed us. Anyway, I'm rambling, but the one thing I gotta point out, and of course Disney Plus has like certain disclaimers on certain films that we grew up watching, that certain things are depicted that might there wasn't like a culturally sensitive. I mean, it's not like full blown racist or anything like that, but it's just still certain stuff is like, of course, nowadays you need to have, like, if you're depicting Agrabah, you need people of Middle Eastern descent and Egyptian descent to be in a writer's room and fill in these particular roles. That's that's is better for everybody. Let's put it like that. As opposed to what we have here, where you have the 90s Aladdin, where it's voiced by primarily white people. Now, of course, I'm pretty sure some people have thought about that, but it wasn't like people wouldn't, as opposed to today, where like a bunch of people be raising a stink through Twitter about like all white wash cast. Back then, it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was something that was probably brought up here and there, but it wouldn't be like a the biggest red flag like it would be today. Anyway, uh, it of course opens with this. I forgot there was some kind of weird merchant at the beginning, voiced by Robin Williams, the late great Robin Williams. I don't even remember this part. I thought it just go straight into the story, but somebody was telling this tale of which obviously Aladdin's based off of 101 Arabian Nights. Uh, oh, and of course Aladdin, voiced by Scott Winger, singing voice provided by Brad Kane. Robin Williams voices the genie. Done very, you cannot compare. Like, I like Will Smith, but it's just like it's hard to compete when it comes to Robin Williams and the animation style that coincide with his very animated kind of personality that fits with something like the genie, where Blue Smurf, Will Smith, it does not work. I'm pretty sure they kept that in mind, but I've seen highlights. I think it only works if you just allow Will Smith to be Will Smith rather than trying to do all this zany. It's not like Will Smith can't be funny, but it's just like it's his different brand of funny that doesn't align with Robin Williams' brand of funny. You got Linda Larkin as Princess Jasmine. Singing voice provided by Leah Salonga. Jonathan Freeman as Jafar. Frank Welker as Abu. And you got Gilbert Godfrey as Iago, aka the Aflac Bird. And Douglas Seal as the Sultan. And this movie had at the time the budget of $28 million and it raked in $504.1 million at the box office. That is freaking phenomenal. This movie is like, it's the bee's knees. It did its thing. I watched this on VHS like a ton of times. I love Aladdin. It's one of my favorites. Very S tier in terms of like tier base. This, Mulan, Hercules, personally, in my opinion, S tier animated films, Disney animated films. So, Jafar takes this thief to the Cave of Wonders, trying to retrieve this lamp. And of course, it has all this other treasure there. Jafar doesn't care about any of that stuff. He wants the magic lamp that obviously holds the genie to, be able to, because obviously, what's being rich compared to having like a genie to grant him whatever wish he wants. And you'll see that later how he'll abuse that. And of course, the Cave of Wonders rejects this guy, swallows him alive, and say like, he wants the diamond in the rough. So now they're on the hunt for this diamond in the rough kind of guy. Obviously, depicting Aladdin, because good natured soul in living in squalor. And the music in this is freaking like, you always can count on Disney to do their thing when it comes to musical numbers, but man, like, you forget how phenomenal the music in Aladdin is. And people have so high hopes with a live action because you expect maybe like a Bollywood thing with Aladdin, and it seems like they kind of shoved that in at the last minute kind of thing, and it's like, God, and it's like, what are you doing? Anyway, I'm not gonna get off on that, but it's just like, they kind of lackluster stuff. Like, I knew it was gonna be probably not as bad as like live action Mulan, which once again, I'm not like, unlike Cruella, this other stuff, it's like, man, I don't know. you know, they lost it at some point. They dropped the ball, let's just say, along the way. Um. Anyway, you got Aladdin, doing his musical number, stealing a French baguette, even though this, in the Middle East, why would you have a French baguette? But whatever. And then uh, of course he bumps into this snobby prince who uh, chastises Aladdin for being like a street rat, and that's all you'll ever be. And this puts Aladdin in like this, it makes him feel some type of way because he's self-conscious of how his life is. He was born into like a poor state, a poor status, and he's feel trapped that he his little squalor type of place he's hiding out in. He's able to look upon the palace of Agrabah, and he has dreams and aspirations of living a life of extravagance. But then contrast that to Princess Jasmine living with her father, and of course, I mean, it's not as bad as what Disney does with certain female leads or protagonists, where they gotta be straight up perfect and not allow them to struggle at all, because God forbid, a woman struggle, even though it's here's the thing, you should know about like the story structure of what do you call it, the hero's journey, which typically is attributed to a male type of dynamic, but it fits for women too. But here's the thing is, part of the hero's journey requires the hero, or the man, female, non-binary, even though I'm pretty sure 2 years from now, I imagine there's going to be like a non-binary lead, and it's going to be a huge deal. They're going to make a whole thing out of it. Part of that is struggle. So that way, once they accomplish their goal, it means a lot more. But certain parts here and there in the past handful of years, you get these kind of Mary Sues, like the live action Mulan or Rey Palpatine, and just to use them as examples, they are just like, oh, they can just do it, or they grasp it pretty fast. There's no struggle, and people are seeing that. It's not sounding like, not to make them sound like, there's a few misogynists out there or idiots out there, but if you're looking at it in just strictly by story structure and just by movie just like a critic, and just using your own level-headed brain about it, you can see that nobody cares for the fact that you're just trying to appease the masses, or just the fringe group of feminists out there. Like, oh, we don't want to get canceled, so you better not allow this woman to be hurt, or go through a problem. And it's like, you gotta allow them to have issues. Like, say what you will about like Princess Jasmine in the 90s film, or even like perfect example of not animated Mulan. She struggled. She steps into this role as trying to pretend to be a guy, goes to this army and be trained in this male-dominated field in order to learn how to fight so she can save her family. And she had to struggle. She had to go through obstacles, fall, get back up, and turns into this badass. And that's the whole point of the whole musical montage. One of the best musical songs is in my top favorite Disney songs. And, that's what, when like she really struts her stuff at the end of the film, we love her all the more for it. It's earned. In contrast that to the live action one, I didn't see it, but I caught the highlights in other people's reviews. I knew it, and it's like I freaking called it. She just perfect, and she just picks up stuff really fast or just without any issue, because she's smarter than everybody else, and she knows all this karate stuff. She doesn't know that initially, but whatever. Say what you will. Jasmine, of course, given the time period, she probably... I'm not to say that people who live in that time period didn't have those same feelings, that I don't want to just be married off. Like, I'm my own person. I want to be able to choose who I want to be with based upon who I actually love and not out of obligation. Sure, I'm 9 times out of 10, there's more often than not women who thought that way back then, was pretty like progressive thinkers at that time. Well, by and large, at that time, they would have like understand the roles that they lived in and had to do certain things by obligation. There's still people who have that sort of mindset today. Probably not as like super rigid, but they have that kind of mindset. And if they have daughters, they have to make sure, maybe not marry them off, but want to make sure that they marry people of some kind of affluent nature, like certain cultural norms, where it's like, you gotta, if you want to marry somebody, he better be like a doctor or a lawyer, or somebody who can make sure that their daughter has security. And that's the key thing here. Like, if you have a daughter, you want to make sure she's well taken care of, despite whatever she wants to do in her lot in life. There needs to be like because we have that mindset, got to protect women. And it's kind of like our base nature of the fairer sex. They need to be, people of the fairer sex can do all kinds of things, but we cannot escape that core aspect of ourselves that we innately want to protect them, and even sometimes from themselves. But yeah, Princess Jasmine, very forward thinking, and she just doesn't like the idea that she's married off, because her father is allowing her to see all these selections of princes, but time and time again she refusing them because they all are self-involved or just pig-headed in one way or the other. And she feeling trapped in her surroundings. And there's a running theme, because you always think about Aladdin feeling trapped, or just Princess Jasmine feeling trapped. But each of the kind of characters you see here are all trapped in one, trapped or caged in one shape or the other. Even the villain. And rewatching this, I kind of grasped that. And I thought that was very interesting. Jafar obviously, wants to, he's feeling, I guess, trapped in this whole Grand Vizier of the advisor to the Sultan and everything like that. He wants more in his life. He wants to rule. He doesn't want to just be just advising, in his eyes, a dullard. You meet the magic carpet. He's trapped in the Cave of Wonders. The Sultan is kind of trapped in a way, if you think about it, that he's not getting any younger, and neither his daughter, and he wants to make sure his daughter is taken care of, but she's constantly refusing every guy he puts in front of her. He's feeling trapped. If you think about it, that my daughter is getting up of course, you you forget she's 16 depicted in this, uh, but she's getting up there, as far as like being like 17, and then eventually 18, stuff like that. Like, she's young, virile, and all the other stuff. And of course, you know, girls who reach from like their certain moment of puberty, like let's say like 18 up till, or at least in this weird kind of situation, but it's their culture of that time, 16 up to the point of, at the very latest, 28, 29, is their prime years. And fertilization and stuff like that, and bearing children. Women are not like just walking incubators or anything like that, but it's just that it's their prime years, and they don't have like a lack of a better word, a body count with past dues and everything like that. So she's prime real estate, lack of a better word. Even though it sounds horrible, that's you can get like a mindset what I'm talking about. And he's feeling trapped. Like, I want my daughter to not, just to not have nobody, but also carry on the legacy and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm cursed with like a very, strong-willed daughter, blah, blah, blah. So he's trapped in that kind of thing. So she's struggling, feeling like, I'm just, have no say in that matter. And like my life as like the Sultan's daughter, and like I'm confined in one location. I've never been outside of the palace. So she sneaks off to see like, what's it like outside the palace. And even as a kid, was like, wait a minute, you never like gone outside the palace, not once, at least with your father, just to see like your people? You never, not once? I find that weird and hard to believe. Not one time. But then she sneaks out, and she's in disguise, and she sees like a kid, hungry, and like Aladdin, just hands. She takes an apple from like a marketeer and hands it to a kid, and the merchant catches her and threatens to cuff her hand because it's like at that time there's been civilizations in history that cuff people's hands or fingers for stealing. That was a thing. And of course, Aladdin steps in to pretend like, oh, this is my sister. She's she's not all there in the head kind of thing. But it's like, I mean, because it seems like, oh, like she makes it seem like she never haven't heard about exchange for money for an item. It's like, how do you not know things cost and you have to buy things to get things? Like, I know you live in a world of affluence, but you got to understand the things that you have to come from somewhere. They didn't just give it to you. It's, even if it's given to you, somebody has to make a purchase of some kind at some point along the line. It's very weird. Even I knew at half the age of Jasmine at that point, I knew as a little kid, things had to be bought to get certain things. Or at least I, went to stores with my, father, grandfather, or other relatives to the stores and watched them take a piece of green paper, hand it to the cashier to buy chips or whatever, like exchange of goods. Like I'm saying, like I'm finding it, like I'm hard pressed to believe that Jasmine doesn't understand that concept. I don't know. It's very weird. But then they get away from this merchant, and Oh my god! And before I get further into it reminds me. I as a little kid, there's two Aladdin games. Only played one on the SNES or Super Nintendo thing back in the day as a little kid. It's one of my first video games that I played, and I loved the hell out of that game. And you play. They got on the Nintendo Switch one of the other Aladdin games I have not played, but I was like, why don't they have both Aladdin games on there? Because I want to replay that because I don't remember. I have to say I finished it, but I cannot recall. It was such a long time ago. But I remember playing that and I loved it. It's one of my favorite games as a kid. And it's like, oh my god, in the genie segment, it was so much fun. But dang it, it was like, really, really good. And I really want to replay it, just like with nostalgia purposes. Because I'm pretty sure certain games that I could not finish, but I tried to do so with Castlevania Symphony in the Night last year. But there was no easy mode because like certain spots I got just like frustrated because it's like there's, even though like unlike back in the day, I got people, making posting videos on how to get through certain things that I can just watch and see. But man, it's like those 2D side scroll things were just made to be effing difficult for no freaking reason. And some people manage to get through them, but sometimes I get frustrated. And it's like, oh god, I can't get through this crap. Same thing with like Final Fantasy X, that I figured like, because I tried replaying that and like I was getting close to the end anyway, but it's just like this big whale thing coming across towards your aerial ship, and you gotta defeat it before it gets too close and just obliterates you. And it's like, even though I had an easy mode for that thing, I don't know. I just constantly have to keep. It's like I don't know how often I have to beef up my characters. It's like at a certain point they're like, you think they're pretty powerful, but oh my god, I just could not get through that freaking whale thing. And even then, after that, you go to the final boss anyway, and it's probably gonna be twice as hard. And I was like, you know what? I had to just give up on that. But I managed to got through a lot farther, or at least come close to the end than I did back in a day when a game came out. Because at the time I didn't know how the level up system worked with that grid thing. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Their share, Aladdin and Jasmine share their woes about, the life they want to live, but it's always like that grass always greener on the other side kind of thing. But then they get busted by the Sultan's guards, who was sent by Jafar to capture Aladdin. And Jasmine, who reveals herself to keep the guards from severely hurting Aladdin, goes to Jafar and demands that they release Aladdin because he wasn't kidnapped. She went to him, and he lies saying like he already been executed, that kind of thing. But he's in prison. Jafar disguised himself as like an old beggar and showed him like a secret passageway out, and makes a deal with Aladdin to like, oh, you'll get treasures beyond your wildest years if you do this thing. And so they go to the Cave of Wonders, and Aladdin making sure he only gets the lamp and brings it back. So Aladdin goes in, runs into the magic carpet, and sees the magic lamp. Although Abu touches a gem, even though they're not supposed to touch anything but the lamp once they get it. So everything comes crashing down. They manage to get towards the entrance, and of course Jafar reveals his true intentions. Iago swipes the lamp from him, and they fall inside the Cave of Wonders, seemingly perishing. But then, Aladdin rubs the lamp. Genie pops out. Robin Williams does his comedic shtick. Awesome musical number. And you forget how smart Aladdin is, because he managed to trick the genie into give him like a freebie kind of wish in a way, because he only get 3 wishes. Genie breaks down the rules to him, like, because people always make that joke, like, oh, I'll wish for a million more wishes, like, it's like one of the rules, like, no, cannot wish for more wishes, so don't even try. No bringing people back from the dead. You can't force people to fall in love with each other. Those are the 3 rules. It's like, oh, some powerful genie, I bet you can't even get us out of here. And of course, like, Genie was like, okay, that was your freebie wish, but from here on out, you only 3 wishes. And of course, they eventually form a friendship. And Genie tells Aladdin, after Aladdin asks, like, what would you wish for? And the genie wants to be freed. He's trapped in this physically and bound by this lamp, and only comes out whenever somebody rubs the lamp, and only is bound by the rules as a genie to grant the wielder of the lamp 3 wishes, and that is it. And then back to the lamp he goes. So he makes a deal with the genie. It's like, because I don't want much. I just want to impress this girl and be with her, because he's smitten. But I'll use my last wish to release you, because Aladdin's an honorable guy, but he's also so witty. And I spoke to my friends about this, because I remember the first crossovers I ever seen as a kid was because Aladdin and Hercules had their own TV shows. And of course, Hercules is kind of like Smallville, because it's pretty much Hercules when he was a teenager and his adventures before, the events of the movie. And there was a crossover between Aladdin and Hercules, and I thought, oh God, that was so dope. And I'm pretty sure at some point I will cover like the TV shows, but for the review, like a TV show review. But just quickly, Jafar is in the underworld, meets up with Hades, even though there should have been like 100 years difference, bare minimum, between these 2 cultures, because during like the culture and age of the Egyptian life should be a little bit till long after wherever the culture of the Greeks has long passed. So there shouldn't be no crossover. Secondly, Jafar wouldn't have believed in the belief of, because the Greeks believe in the underworld of Hades, and that's where they probably would have gone. Egyptian mythology should have their own underworld where Jafar should have gone to. I guess that's neither here nor there, as nitpicking, but it's like these 2 shouldn't have met, because they should have 2 different underworlds at the very least. Anyway, Hades meets up with Jafar. He telling he used to be a powerful genie and sorcerer before that, and he got like taken down by this punk street rat. And Hades laughs at him, voiced by James Woods. As an individual person, James Woods kind of an ass, but he's a hell of an actor. And as well as Hades and Owlman from the DC DC universe, it's part of my favorite James Woods performances. And then of course, like, from like, Family Guy as well. But he laughs at Jafar like, wow, like, are you kidding me? About an ordinary kid had all this power, but you get taken down by some ordinary person. At least I got taken down by someone with actual abilities. And Jafar laughed like, this idiot? It's like, he's just like a dumb lunkhead. It's like, how you lose to somebody you can easily outwit, and you're supposed to be some god. And so they make a deal that Hades will bring him back to life if he managed to take down each other's respective foes. Of course, Hades looked like a dumbass that he got outwit by some street rat because like Aladdin is freaking smart. And Jafar is dumbfounded because like he never had to deal with somebody with some serious godlike abilities. And it's just like it's cool. They had a couple of crossovers, and I remember loving both of those times. Like once again, like at some point in the future, I will do a spoiler review for Aladdin TV show and Hercules TV show respectively, because they both should be on Disney Plus. I know Hercules is. I haven't checked for Aladdin. But anyway, Aladdin wished to be a prince and everything like that, and so he comes to Agrabah as this fictitious prince, Abi Babwa, and so all this big old musical number and everything like that, and the Sultan is impressed. And of course, Jafar, and Aladdin are all talking, about Jasmine. And of course, she walks in. It's like, how dare you just speak like I'm some kind of property you can just pass around, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, it's effed up. It's always been effed up. But it's like, once again, that was the culture. So I can't really and it's like, if you put yourself in the time frame of where time period it's supposed to be set in, yeah, you're by and large wouldn't have that much of a say in this matter. And of course, the cultural traditions. And of course, she doesn't agree with the traditions. This is typical Disney princess kind of shtick. Like, I'm not a piece of property you can just do whatever with. Yeah, I get it. Women independence, all that stuff. I get it. Nobody says they agree. Nobody would ever agree to this kind of thing. But it's just, that is the culture. You know this. You grew up in this culture. You've seen this happen when you probably a little kid and been told plenty of tales and events going on with other areas of different kingdoms that children get married off. Especially when it comes to the princesses, they have to have prosperity for them and their respective kingdoms, and two respective kingdoms that do well, it gets even better when they join, usually by union of marriage and all this other stuff. This. You raising a stink about it. It's like, it's like, why do you act like this is new to you? I'm sorry, that's just kind of like, it's like, you shouldn't be this new to you. You can be miffed about it, but it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like, it should be downplayed a little more. She should be having a little bit more I get it. It is whatever it was written at the time, but it's just like, seeing it now and viewing it in the lens of okay, as a reviewer, how your culture is. You can feel, you can just I don't know. It's like, I just don't feel I understand that I gotta do this, for my father, and it's good for the kingdom, but it's just, I don't, deep down, I just don't want to be married off. Not that she should keep to herself, but she's raising a stick over it it's brand new, she's just been told what the rules are. I don't know. But anyway, Aladdin tries to impress her. They take a ride on the magic carpet, and I forgot, because I thought it was, I probably blanked this out of my mind, because I initially thought, and they just fly around on the magic carpet all through Agrabah. But no, they go through Greece and China, and it's I'm like, oh my God, they not they legit went around the world, but just two different areas of the world, different parts of the world. And it's like, wow, how long have they been flying, first of all? And second of all, how did I forget they went through these two locales? They went through Greece. I'm like, oh yeah, Greece wouldn't be that too far away from where Aladdin is. But this is obviously, I'm thinking wow, they might easily run into Hercules, but no, it should be long after the events of Hercules. Like I said, the TV show is kind of play fast and loose with the time frame because this is long after the events of the first Aladdin film, but you know, they meet up with a teenage Hercules who should have been long after had his adventures as an adult and some long laughter this whole stuff. So he shouldn't have met Hercules as a teenager. But whatever. Then of course Jasmine, had an inkling that this is Aladdin she met at the market. As he takes her back, he gets ambushed by Jafar's men. Because Jafar realized that he didn't realize yet. He and Iago had a plan to because it's like I won't say a footnote, but it's a fine print that states that if the daughter isn't married off by her next birthday, which would have been at 17 because she's 16, then the Grand Vizier will then just be automatically married to her to carry on the responsibilities and wherever like that. So he want to cinch that because he wants to be Sultan. So he tried to get Ali Baba out the way. He kidnaps him. He tosses him into the river, but luckily he still had a lamp on him. He managed to get close enough to rub it. Genie pops out. Of course, he's passing out. He can't verbally wish anything. So Genie takes his distress as okay, I'll take that as your second wish and rescue, because he wants to rescue him, but he's bound by the rules of the lamp, so he can't just do it on his own. He has to be ordered to. So he saves Aladdin, and he confronts him, Sultan, and Jasmine confronts Jafar, and and they realize that Jafar's been hypnotizing the Sultan this whole time with his staff, and he's pretty much busted. So Jafar runs to his hideaway and then manages to because after the blow up between Aladdin and Genie, because Genie had to use the second wish. Now Aladdin's technically down to his last wish, and he made a promise to the Genie to release him, but because Aladdin's been lying throughout most of the movie, and Genie even points out how you tell her the truth. Aladdin's no, if she finds out who I really am, she wouldn't, because he doesn't trust. He loves her, but he doesn't trust her own judgment and accept, because he should accept who he is, and if she doesn't accept him as who he is, ultimately she's not worth it. But he has to come clean, and he refuses to do so because he's afraid of what she thinks of him, because she's a princess. He lives a certain lifestyle, even though he should have had an inkling she's not that petty rich girl kind of attitude. If she snuck away to see the people and hiding amongst the people just to woo, he should have took that as a sign that she is more to her than meets the eye. So he breaks the promise he made to the Genie, and he gets carbides of Jafar. The lamp gets taken away. Jafar uses it to the Genie to make him a powerful sorcerer, and Sultan forcing the Sultan and Jasmine as his prisoners or slaves, whatever, and becomes a dark ruler of Agrabah. And he has Aladdin, Carpet, and Abu shot in his towards a snowy landscape, and then they end up flying back, and a battle ensues to get they all work together to get back the lamp. And using his quick wits, Aladdin tricks Jafar into like, oh, you know, you may have all this power, but you'll still never be as powerful as the genie, because his power is all cosmic. Because he remembers the way like genie introduces himself as like a sort of cosmic entity, and it's like you'll never be as powerful. So Jafar feels like, oh, I'll just wish to be all powerful genie, so I'll have like whatever power I want, no matter what. But then, well, it's like a monkey's paw thing. Well, you know, are a genie, but as a genie, you're bound by genie rules. So now you're bound to your own lamp, and the genie chucks that thing and buries it deep into the desert sands, and everything goes back to normal. And of course, then you go get the happy ending. The Sultan decides, like, you know, I'm the Sultan. I'll change the rules. And like, you know, here's for like Princess Jasmine will marry who she wants. And then, then Aladdin wishes Genie free, and so he goes decide to do whatever he wants to do, which is to see the world. And it all ends on a very happy ending. And once again, this movie is freaking phenomenal. I love it. I love it. I love it. It still holds up after all these years. Despite what, like how I said about like, the cultural norms and like the whole princess thing. Aside from all that, this movie is freaking phenomenal. I love it. I love it. Your kids will love it. Highly recommend it. I couldn't recommend it even enough. Watch this over the live action, please. Show this to your kids. If you, if nothing else, show them this. If dealer choice if you choose to, want them to check out the live action version, but have them watch this first so they have like a proper context of what a good movie is. Not the saying like the live action stuff is all bad, but it's not as good. It's the same thing by and large. So just show them the cartoon version first. If I could recommend any Disney remakes, Cruella, Maleficent. Some people say Pete's Dragon. I've never seen Pete's Dragon, so I can't really confirm how good it is. But some people, swear by it. So those are probably the only 3 remakes I can actually highly recommend to people to actually check out. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you thought about the 1992's Aladdin film. Like and subscribe, share this with your friends, and I will see you guys in a little bit for 2 comic book reviews that I'll have coming up. So yeah, I'll see you guys a little bit later.